and your family. Welcome to your Week 12 recap of the Packers carving up the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving Day. We punch up in a weight class above us, and we finally hit the Detroit Lions in the mouth for what feels like the first time in maybe 5+ years. And I will open up this tab by saying back-to-back weeks, we have the sun god coming to the Packers' aid and helping us to win the game. Against the Chargers, the sun god helped with drop passes by the Chargers. And then in this week against the Lions, the sun god, aka Amon-Ra St. Brown, came into this week saying, I don't know one player on the Packers defense. You best believe Rashawn and them boys took that statement, that bulletin board material, personal, and came out with vengeance on their mind. So that said, there is a true bourbon in the hand. Cheers, Dave.
Yeah, I'm going coffee today. I thought you were going to talk about the moon god because that was the big talk that the Lions haven't won on this moon cycle in ever. So I thought that's what you're going with. You're going to switch from sun god to moon god. But hey,
it looked like a made up word. When I read there was some like J or G word, I'm like, is this just somebody trying to get a rise out of us, some weird conspiracy? But it was true, I guess. That's 7 straight Thanksgiving losses by the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, it was 22 or 29-22. This could have easily been 42 to, I don't know, 17 or something like that. I mean, the Packers completely dominated this game. It's been a long time since the score hasn't matched up with how well this team performed.
Yeah, there was a couple of missed opportunities. They were, 0 for 4 on fourth downs. The one that we didn't capitalize on with the Carl Brooks forced fumble, and then we recovered that one, which we'll get into the shout out to Carl Brooks. But I'll say this and Dave, if you have any Thanksgiving moments with your family. So I'm very thankful for my sisters, or I should say my brother-in-law's family that I had Thanksgiving with. I showed up like 10 minutes into the game after we threw the deep pass to Watson. We punched in the score. Jaden Reed, amazing throw. I'm like, what a hot start by the Packers. But as soon as I arrive in the door, they had 3 TVs fired up with the Packers game on it. My brother-in-law's dad, he's like, hey, Jordan, if things start to get a little bit loud, because there was like 15 people in the house, things start to get a little bit loud, feel free to go to the back bedroom there if you need to watch the game. And I'm like, hey, that's really generous of you. You don't have to be going out of your way. I'm like, one thing that I'm thankful for as a Packer fan is that I've matured, I think, over the last few years, and that I'm not quite as nutty in the way that I watch the game, and that I don't have to be like fully attentive and miss out on Thanksgiving with that. So that's my thanks, Dave. Do you have any moments during your Thanksgiving game that stuck out for you?
I'm laughing at I'm thankful for just maturing as a human being where I can watch the Packers and not be a complete like nutcase. I worked Thanksgiving night, so I just had a quiet night by myself. My wife and my daughter went out to family's house. I had the place to myself. I basically watched the Packers game and then I knocked out. That was my lonesome Thanksgiving this year. But there's excitement. At least I was watching a game that there's plenty of highlights on it. I'm thankful for them actually showing up to Ford Field instead of giving us a dud, because that would have been a rough one. But let's get into it. First of all, you touched on the Watson play. Gutsy call by LaFleur. Let's take the ball. Let's just deep shot it right away. I think me and you've talked about this in private. I don't think we've necessarily brought it up enough on the show. I think this year I would have liked to see that more. Not necessarily the deep shot, but take the ball. Let the offense kind of control things. They're kind of stuck in their old ways of like, we're going to play defense. We want to do the typical double up at the halftime, but I think this offense is so slow. I think it's best to just get them on the field right away, settle down the nerves, try to get them fired up and get going right away.
I think you texted that, or when we were in Lambeau from Detroit also, we played them on that Thursday. You're like, all right, why do we keep deferring for all these coin tosses that we win? We're like, we're not that team from 2020 during the first COVID year that we can take it and it's an automatic 7. I think just about every game, like you brought that up when we've gotten the ball after half. And then this one, yeah, we take possession. Even LaFleur, so you brought up during pre-show that LaFleur was almost second-guessing himself with another play later in the game. I think it was a Tucker Kraft touchdown where he was running up in the sideline, almost called time, but he's like, I'm going to trust my gut here. He talked about in the presser where he texted J Love that morning. I love that they can text each other the day of the game too, talking about like the script. He texted him and he's like, J Love, are you sure that you want that deep shot to Christian to open up the script? He's like, we can maybe go with something else if you'd like. And J was like, yeah, let's do it. So there was like 2 plays in there. It's just like, hey, LaFleur, trust your gut. I'm glad you did. And that dude was not only in his bag, but he was feeling himself so much that he pulled out the Philly special later in the game. And there's even a clip of him running into halftime, hitting the security guy, and even like looking back at him after he runs in the locker room, giving him some words there. So I'm like, LaFleur was aggressive, and he was definitely on one on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a chicken or the egg, which comes first. Love's dialed in. So is it Love being dialed in that's giving LaFleur the confidence to call certain plays and not back away from it, and that's just leading to more confidence on the field? Or has LaFleur found something in Love that he can work with, like scheme wise, that's getting Love into a rhythm? Obviously, partnership, it could very well be like marinating and they're just coming together now, where it's like, okay, we're mixing talent with great play calling. But something in the last 3 weeks has clearly changed in not only the play calling, but the performance on the field.
How about I brought it up pre-show? I'm like, at what moment did it click? Because we saw that they came out fast and firing in the Steelers, and then things have been smooth sailing for this passing offense ever since then. Bill, I'm like, was there like a specific moment in that Rams game beforehand? I brought up that Christian Watson late throw that they connected on the first time to him and Love have connected on a deep pass this season. Maybe that was it. Not quite sure because there was other plays in the rest of that fourth quarter that wouldn't lead you to believe that, all right, we found that spark. Yeah, with Love hitting, it's like, hey, put the ball in this guy's hands because your run offense is not doing you any favors. They're not supporting this team, and Love throughout the middle of the field has just been absolutely dialed. I was almost going to say to you, Dave, that I think Love at this point is most accurate not only when he's on rhythm and on time like QB school, but also when he's got the sidearm angle in there too. He's had countless sidearm angle throws this season that have been over the middle of the field, have been on the money, and then there's just like other certain times that we know that he just needs to rip it. But those are some of the things that have stood out to me the most these past few weeks is these sidearm angles, and we got Pat Mahomes coming to town. Hopefully they make the most of it here between, one of the best ever to do it with the sidearm throws.
I'm actually seeing a lot of like off play action. He's really good. Like turn his back to the defense, plant it, and rip it. Like he's gotten into such a good rhythm with that stuff, and you saw that a lot on the deep crossers against Detroit. He would is LaFleur brought it up, and they asked in the press conference, the pass set up the run against the Lions, and you kind of almost want to see that more. The Packers have not been a good run blocking team this year. It's been hard sledding no matter who's in the backfield. And maybe that's the trick. Just show play action more and then or hand it off. Have it kind of be almost like your option play where it's I liked what I saw. I mean, we've been talking a little bit about the kind of overview of the team the last 3 weeks, so we could kind of deep dive now more into this game. Man, he put a couple of balls just right on the friggin' money. The one to Dobbs on a crosser, the one to Heath. Heath had a heck of a game. Not only the deep crosser, but the one where Love goes far to the right hash and whips it across his body. Dangerous throw, but great placement. This team's coming alive. I mean, they had the Lions on their toes. You didn't hear Hutchinson's name at all. That was the big difference. I mean, when we went to that game in Lambeau, man, the Lions' defensive line looked like our defensive line.
They were eating this up. When you had the rewatch or even the all 22, it's like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, get rid of it. The Thursday night game that you came, and then we can control the line of scrimmage on both sides. Dave, I was going to say that you've had your boy Valentine hitting and Carl Brooks hitting. It's about damn time that Malik Heath in my training camp Starling comes alive. That he's been showing up in his blocks. He had the block last week for the Jaden Reed touchdown. Some other ones that have showed up, but 94 PFF grade. They said he ran 5 routes and he had 4 catches off of that, and I'm almost more impressed by his blocking than some of the catches that he's had across the middle of the field and helping with Love. And I I love that Love, and so many people are going to say this, that sort of phrase, or that I love that Love is a ball distributor, a lot like Brett
Yes.
Favre, that he doesn't find his favorite receiver and go to him. Like he spreads the wealth as much as Favre did back in the day with that. And then to the point earlier, when things start to click, look at these past 3 games with the offensive line. We've had to face Aaron Donald that we've shut down. We faced TJ Watt this next week afterwards. And then more recently, we had, what was it, Joey Bosa for like a series or two before he got carted
Yeah.
off, and Khalil Mack. And then this one, we're shutting down Aiden Hutchinson. Zach Tom more than holding down the fort and being a strength there at right tackle. And then the rotation at left has been proven pretty well, which we always talk about top 5 and continuity amongst your offensive line. That doesn't seem to me like they're missing a beat in the passing offense with how much they've been able to stuff up these ace pass rushers.
Yeah, the one guy that needs to work his way into the lineup full time now is Sean Ryan. Because just when he's on the field, I know he still has his hiccups, but I think when he's been in the last 2 weeks specifically, their scoring percentage goes up dramatically when he's on the field, which I know not a skill position player, but I mean, he's clearly blocking stuff up front at the right guard position. Runyon's been kind of ran over quite a bit. I would like to see that change. The left tackle, the rotation seems fine to me. And then Zach Tom, you have world class on the right. They found like they just dig these guys up. But I think it would give Myers some help having at least Jenkins and Ryan on each side of him, because Myers, especially that last pass Love through, if he holds that block for even half a second longer, I think Watson's walking in.
Seriously, they talked about on QB school that he's like, it was an LL by Myers, and if Love would have got rid of it just a touch sooner, that it would have been a dagger shot and a 30 plus burger on him. And Runyon seems to be the one player that hasn't been able to correct his like false starts, his holding penalty, still getting beat. Yeah, I think it's about time to put Sean Ryan in there. Was Sean Ryan in at the Eagles game? He was
No,
not?
no,
Okay.
not yet.
So I know he got a few snaps before that, but still not rotate. I mean, that's a lot to deal with. You have a rotating left tackle and a rotating right guard.
I
Uh,
know.
and then I mean, what do we do about the run game though? Like I'm thinking about it now that we're on that cusp, that playoff bubble, the playoff hunt, and it's turned into December. We know how LaFleur is 15-0 in December, and things really start to jive with this offense. But also that comes December football, and you need to run it. And we have not been able to get anything going, whether it is AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones or Emmanuel Wilson or Patrick Taylor, so on and so forth. Like I don't know what we do there, because I don't think it's sustainable the way this offense is moving to make a serious playoff push.
Yeah, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I think a serious playoff push is might be a little bit extreme, might be a little bit of a tall task for this team. It's still about learning to win, growing. I mean, if we sneak into the playoffs, I view that as a win this season. But to your point of running it, it's a lot up front, because there's a lot of run plays where the back can't do anything because 3 guys are getting caved in and they're right in the backfield within the guy getting to the line of scrimmage. So LaFleur is going to have to scheme some stuff up. The pitch play to Taylor was a nice wrinkle, especially that read option. Maybe you can throw that in there a little bit more. Now, you don't want your quarterback getting hit, but let them think about it. That was all LaFleur. I mean, that's dialing one up there. He ran the same play to the right side earlier in the game, but Love didn't keep it. And if Love kept it, he would have walked into the end zone. It was the play where he handed it to Dillon, and Dillon just got absolutely train wrecked within like a yard of the line of scrimmage.
Was this near the goal line then? Was this in the red
It's
zone?
like the 8-yard line, 10-yard
Okay.
line, yeah.
Hey, what maturity by not only myself but Jay Love then keeping it, reading the play exceptionally well, scampering off for what you brought up is the longest rushing play by a Packers quarterback, maybe ever, beating Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, a 37-yarder. Jay Love's already got some records beat as is, and that he's tying Aaron Rodgers. The parallels continue. 11 games in, like
Yeah.
almost 2,600 yards between the two, exact yardage, and then 21 total touchdowns, and I think like 10 interceptions. I'm sorry, yeah.
I got into the most like insane conversation ever about that. I brought up the comparison through 11 games, and I had someone trying to argue with me that, well, they play one more game now. I said, no, I don't think you understand. I'm comparing this to through 11 weeks. They both played the same amount of games and have the basically same stat line. There hasn't been an extra game yet. They're like, oh, well, it's 17 games versus 16 games now. I'm like,
Arguments over. I'm no longer gonna continue it. No, so
Yeah.
you can't even
Yeah.
wrap your head around that. Ray, we're comparing 11 games, not a whole season.
Yeah.
Whole
Yeah.
season
Yeah.
here. And anything else
Um,
just to touch on here on the offensive side of the ball? I know that Musgrave's going to be out, and I think that Ben Sims has held up really well in the run game
yeah.
and been an asset to this team thus far. And Tucker Kraft, I would have loved to see him do a stiff arm on that catch over the middle field, that crosser that he
Yeah.
had. But hey, that's growth to be had, of course. And one thing I will say for running offense, as much as a dynamic player, and he is like our superstar in the making, double one, Jaden Reed, the bird. I don't know how much more I want him getting the
No,
ball in handoffs. That I know
he took a vicious
yes, he's
shot.
slippery and he caught a first down in that one, but it's like Randall Cobb. I'm like, they don't have the build like a Debo Samuel to be withstanding that punishment for weeks after weeks. I'm like, as great as those plays work, let's use them sparingly and not have him lining up in the backfield like Cobb in 2012.
He took that hit, and I think LaFleur afterwards said, "Okay, I'm not running that the rest of the game because I don't think I saw Reed go in motion, but they never gave it to him again on the handoff. I mean, he made the cut, and I thought he was actually going to turn it up and score, and then out of nowhere, the safety came in and just crunched him, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to see that the rest of the game.
No. And how about Christian Watson? Is this the turning the page moment? Devontae Adams sending out a tweet saying great grab by number 9, and there's some reciprocation on that as well. People have been coming after Christian Watson is our number 1 wide receiver, and he's starting to get more involved in the offense because other playmakers are opening up some spots for him. This could also be now the coming online for Christian Watson in this 2023 season.
Yeah, this offense needed him to come on. I think that was the last kind of missing puzzle piece there in the passing
Yep.
game. There's a lot of talk about Love struggling. Is he the guy? Is he the guy? They're not seeing the stat line that they like. But a lot of that stat line was receivers dropping 3 to 5 passes a game that could have added an extra 100 yards and an extra possible touchdown or two to his stat line. You get the huge contested catch to start the game, and then he makes a great over-the-shoulder catch for the touchdown. The toe tap on the sideline, we're piecing together with Watson again. Maybe Watson's a guy that just needs to get into a little bit of a rhythm, get his confidence up. I mean, it seems like I don't want to get in someone's head here, especially in this day and age, but he seems like when something goes sideways, he gets really down on himself, and it's hard to pick himself back up through a game. And when he makes a great play, it carries over throughout the rest of the game. You know, he might not be necessarily that even keel guy where if I drop something, it's the next play. If I score a touchdown, it's the next play. He might be a guy that really flows through his mental kind of wellness there. Like if he's doing great mentally, he's going to carry it over to the field. If he's a little bit low, it's going to be a little bit of a dip in the performance.
Jermichael Finley was that same breed. Get him involved early, because if not, if you wait late, there could be drops that happen as well. That's where it's the credit to Aaron Rodgers in that Dallas game last year that he had 2 drops to start the game. He's like, I'm going to keep coming back to this rookie because I know that he has something special in him. So that could be something moving forward that, hey, get him involved in the script early and get him in a good headspace.
Yeah. Are we flipping this over to the most dominant defensive performance you've seen in a while? I mean, especially from Rashawn Gary.
I was Googling today. I'm like, when's the last time that we had 3 forced fumbles in one game? I know that Rashawn, that's the first time we've had 2 forced fumbles by one player since Aaron Campman, the newest inductee, the Packers Hall of Fame. But just from a 30,000-foot view, Dave, we haven't controlled the line of scrimmage on a defensive front since the Bears game week 1. And this is something that we expected all season long, the way that training camp looked.
Yeah. Well, what's your take on it? I've been you've been shuffling questions to me. What's your take? What have you been seeing that's was different in this game than weeks past? Did we just get a lucky week? Did you see scheme changes? Did you just see guys just being better? What did you see out there?
Yeah, I think there's one player that's been freeing up others in the sack column. That I know that it's right around this time of the year when he starts his tear. It's Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark in December. We know the stats that he comes alive and he's been kind of like the backbone of the defense throughout that last month of the season. There's one player that time and time again, not only against the Lions but other weeks. And to back it up by stats, he has 14 pressures in his last two games. There's been a number of sacks that, like whether it's Rashawn has gotten or Preston has gotten, it's been because of Kenny Clark that he's beat his guy off the line of scrimmage in one swim move or what have you. Gets to the quarterback, he steps up, and then we have Preston or Rashawn there to clean it up. So if there's one player that's been a huge standout, and not only a cheers and a half to him that he might not have the sacks to show for it. Kenny Clark has been coming alive these past couple weeks, and I fully expect him to build off of it and then some here coming in December.
I'll tell you two things. The first thing is that they are showing Joe Barry's reaction in the press box. I think that actually really helped this defense. But all kidding aside, yeah, I want just kind of that. I mean, the one guy you haven't really mentioned that I see he's just right there, but he's a tick slow right now is Wyatt. I think Wyatt's been getting some good pressure. He's just not finishing on it. We saw it last week against the Chargers, and it kind of carried over this week on Goff. Preston's been on a tear too. I know the numbers don't necessarily show it, but he's been. I mean, he was battling the best right tackle in football according to like PFF. I mean, one of the best, allowed the least amount of pressures going into the game, and Preston was all over him.
He beat him cleanly, Pinnell, on one play that I think it was one that I thought was a strip sack fumble, but
the fourth down.
Yeah, but Goff still got the ball out of his hand. I'm like, that's one of the best tackles in the game. He's a captain. He's got the C on his chest, and Preston still did a Reggie White move to him.
I was actually shocked by Goff's numbers at the end of the game because I thought we were just all over him. I'm surprised he got that many passing yards off and all that stuff.
We think a lot of those were credited to Valentine, Corey. I think he gave up and somebody's got to get picked on. The ball's got to go somewhere because Valentine continues to stack success. Should have had an interception in this game, almost his first career one. Those crossers and passing off players from one spot to the next is our Achilles heel throughout this Joe Barry defense. Now they show his reaction to those plays. Somebody's got to give up the passing yards, and Valentine was one they picked on with Laporta and Jamison Williams and a couple of other times.
A big thing too is they're just down the whole game. And if you're gonna throw it 50 times, you're gonna get some yards. But my boy Carl Brooks needs some snaps. He needs some more snaps.
So he's at 3 sacks right now. He had a forced fumble in this one.
And a recovery. I think a recovery.
You talk about the ratio between snaps to sacks to pressures to hurries to forced fumbles to batted passes that he's second on the team. This could be.
Doesn't he have a block kick too?
Yeah, I think he might have a block kick too. This could be the most surprising smash hit of the draft, and to think about what he could look like in the sophomore year with an extra 5 to 10 pounds of muscles added to his game. And then how about Jonathan Owens too? Yes. The point of redemption and stepping up after that whiff tackle against the Chargers, and I'm sure that was in the back of his mind, and he wanted vengeance as well. He had 12 combined tackles in this game. There was one play, it's a run down in the third quarter that he looks like Troy Polamalu flying out of a cannon to come up and thump the running back. And then there was a tackle for a loss that he had.
Scoop and score on the fumble.
Yeah, so a heady play that reminded me of that 2013 NFC North Championship game with Jarrett Boykin picking up the ball and him kind of wandering around, Aaron Rodgers pointing towards the end zone. He didn't know what to do with it, but a veteran like Jonathan Owens, J.O., knew to take that ball to the house and finish out the play, unlike the Steelers. So I do have to give a cheers to Jonathan Owens with his sure-handed tackling, flying all over the field. I know the commentators made a note of it as well. Yeah, I thought he played exceptional picking up from last week.
There is a little bit of a positive when you don't have necessarily star players across the board, that everyone has to come together as a team and they're not relying on one superstar guy to just fill the shoes of everyone. I know Rashawn Gary really stepped up and he really made an impact on this game, but I'm talking in the secondary. You're missing Jair. Savage, not a superstar, but Savage is, you know, your was going to be your starting safety. There is something to having guys rally to the football, having 2, 3 hats on a ball carrier, bringing them down. I mean, we saw guys just swarming to the football all game. And maybe that's what this team needed. It's a bunch of young guys trying to prove it to the organization that they're more than worthy to stick around for next year. Because this defense the last 2 weeks has been seemingly coming together a lot better than they were in the beginning of the year.
And it was like we learned from our mistakes, and I see progression too. We learned from our mistakes last week. Justin Herbert was moving up in the pocket, picking up first downs with his legs. This time we collapsed much better on him. We had players ready to knock the ball out of Goff's hands, and the back end didn't have to hold up as long. Like I didn't really see all too much out of Quay Walker out of this game. Isaiah McDuffie made a couple of fine tackles, but I think the difference maker all was just that front five. And we are noticing too, Lucas Finesse has his hand in the dirt much more. I think like predominantly the snaps that he was in on, he has his hand in the dirt, which he looks much more natural. He did that all throughout college. Yeah. And only ask that I would have, Dave, is to have him on the third down package. Like I'm starting to make a note of, I'm like, if he can play with his hand in the ground, kick him inside and have him be one of the pass rushers. Maybe replacing like a Devontae Wyatt, which I know that he's had, 2 back-to-back nice games with some pressures or hurries, but I like to think that LVN offers a little bit more in the pass rush game than having a defensive tackle in there.
The Packers are notorious for turning a defensive end into an outside linebacker, and it's a tough transition. Like you saw it with Rashawn Gary, defensive end out of Michigan, hand in the dirt guy. They wanted to be a stand-up off the edge guy. It takes time, takes a year, takes 2 years to do that, to turn into someone. So with Finesse, you could see them trying to do it, and then when they really need him, they're like, all right, let's just have you be as natural as possible. Stick your hand in the dirt, go get them. But there is a transition period to it.
Wasn't Nick Perry like a hand in the dirt guy too that we drafted from the first? I know Aaron Campman was like that one's pretty well known amongst the Packers community. Yeah, we love to try to convert players, whether it's defensive end or
we like the Raz, and then we convert them to a different position.
Or we got a safety turn cornerback, or vice versa. Defense. Yeah, to your point there at the top, this could have been much uglier. We could have capitalized on another on that fourth down that special teams held them on, which I think that was the one that we scored the Watson touchdown on. Yeah, this could have easily been like a 30 40 point game. I think that I don't really have any other sort of check box on defense to name there for this wonderful Packers victory.
I will say one more thing that I want to see it, just because I think they have the personnel to do it. I don't think that you'll make that change unless you change the defensive coordinator. But I think a 4-3 suits this team so much better with the talent they have than the 3-4.
Who would you have be your third inside linebacker? Isaiah McDuffie?
Yeah, why not? I mean, he runs around, right? I mean, he's a weak spot, but he's not a complete liability. And if he's getting beat, at least he's around the football to bring the guy down.
And this could help our run defense. I did like that Barry played with a lot more traditional 3-down linemen. I'll say that, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Like actually 3 defensive tackles in at the same time. But for this next DC, and I think we're still going to get one, like maybe we turn back to that 4-3.
You can almost you can definitely have Carl Brooks, Kenny Clark, Wyatt, Van Ness, hands in the dirt guy. And if you need to, if you want to switch it to weak side, strong side, you put Gary's hand in the dirt and have Van Ness stand up. You could switch it in and out that way. But I just think they have the horses in front of them, defensive line group that can cause more pressure than the 3-4 they've been running, because Walker doesn't really blitz all that much. You saw Barry go to the blitz a little bit more this game than he has in previous games, but the guys that they're sending just aren't getting home a lot of times.
No, and you got quite a few that are more of like your one-dimensional pass rush specialists. That defensive tackle adding 2 more hands in the dirt could help to fight off some blocks in the run game. I like it. I think that's one to.
Plus, there's a lot of times in 3-4 where somehow Preston ends up on a slot wide receiver.
He did in this game too, and he held up well when his number was called to play slot cornerback. Preston held his own and didn't get wiped off the map.
All right, I know you hate it, but we're going to switch to special teams because I think special teams put a big part in this game. The Lions were pinned back the entire game. Great punts inside the 20. Then you get some, bunker stuff with Carlson as well.
I was about to say, Dave, way to find some bright spots there. I'm a little bit reluctant to turn to special teams because I know one of the first things we can talk about there. I will say for a special teams tackle, shout out to Benny Sapp for like a tackle inside the 15-yard line, came screaming down the field with a solo tackle. So do have to give a bit of a cheers there. And Christian Welch had another special teams tackle, but there is some follies in there as well.
I forgot who tipped the ball, but Zane Anderson, the guy that's been the Madden player that doesn't exist on this roster, smothered the ball at the 1. But I forgot who actually batted it back.
I think Rochelle something. Rochelle batted back to him. Some AI character that was brought down the ball, number 39. Okay, so that's some of the. Is there any other positives that we can note? Because I think that they brought in the end zone almost every time. Like, did Keyshawn Nixon get an opportunity to return a kick in this game?
Man, I watched this game twice, and I actually can't remember if he actually brought one.
Well, I watched it 3 or 4 times, so I don't recall one, or if he did, that it was brought out, and that helps with the dome too. That you're able to get in the end zone, and you don't want the ball in his hands. But Dave, hey, we have to call it straight down the middle. This is now the 3rd straight game with an extra point miss. That thankfully we were able to start fast and hold on there till the end. These games down the stretch, though, these are difference makers, and this could determine whether we are getting into the playoffs or not. And I'm not going to go there yet. If we beat the Chiefs, then I'll be like, all right, now our percentage is up to about 70%, and I'm going to put one foot in the camp of playoff hosts. But yeah, the woes kind of are starting to trickle in with Anders.
Lambeau is only going to get slicker. It's only going to get snowier. It's only going to get windier. Rookie kicker. Even if it goes down the tubes fast with him, I still think he's back on the roster next year. I mean, that's just the Packers kind of way. You're taking a 5th round pick at kicker. I think they're going to try to develop him a little bit more. He's had his up and downs. I don't blame him at all for the 63-yarder that almost got returned back on us. I mean, I guess that's a positive note. We didn't allow a touchdown on that one. I some of the stuff's his fault, some of it's not. The one where DeGuara in Pittsburgh completely whiffed on the block, you can't fault him for that one. A guy was just coming streaming right at him. But yeah, it's shaky for whatever reason. The Packers, especially field goal unit, extra point unit, has been really unsettling for 3 years now.
And one of Mason Crosby's worst games was in Detroit too. That people were asking him to get the axe at the time. Oh, and then the other bright spot is that 4th down fake punt by the Lions. We were all over it. Elvian was right there to make the stop, and that's the one that led to the Christian Watson touchdown there in the second half. Okay, so there is some good to glean.
Plenty of bright spots on special teams.
I don't know why, but like as soon as the page turned to special teams, I'm like, oh no, here we go again.
It's nice having a victory Thursday because then we could talk on Sunday while everyone's still trying to, figure out if their team's going to win or lose, and we get to enjoy 10 days of being victorious, especially over a division rival. We got to enjoy this one, especially since the Packers were 8.5 underdogs for this game, and everyone wrote us off. And Apparently, they stamped the turkey with the Lions logo, and that's why Jordan Love didn't get to eat some turkey legs on Thanksgiving, or Greg Olson destroyed the turducken in the press booth. There's all sorts of conspiracies of why Jordan Love was the only player not to
I
get
have I have a
turkey
major
leg.
bone to pick, no pun intended. I'm like, how is it that you flub up that bad to not get Jordan Love a turkey leg at the end of the game? Like, they couldn't have one of their employees rush to go to the store and get like I know you got to cook the turkey and everything, but
Well, just give him the
where,
jewel, like
where's the
pre-made
where's the
one.
gobbler trophy at? Like where was the fox? Like, because Aaron Rodgers brought it up in the Pat McAfee show. He's like, yeah, jokingly, yes, but he's like, one of my favorite awards was the gobbler that I got. Maybe it was like the 2011 game when Sue stepped on his ankle. But yeah, Fox, you're better than that. We know you are. Like, you still owe. Please ship it to 1265 Lombardi and get Jordan Love a turkey leg. And Dave, to 8-point underdogs, we do need to have some accountability here because both of us these past two games, this is the start of the toughest stretch for the Packers, and here's both of us expecting multiple score losses for this team, and here we are with my sister walking to Thanksgiving. She's like 20-6. What is it? Third quarter? I'm like, oh no, it's the first quarter still. I know the team you saw against the Vikings at home. We struggled to get a first down in the first half. Like, both of us still, like, if we would have gave a score prediction for this one, we probably would have been in the camp of, another 30 to like 20 beatdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep picking them to lose so that they win. That's my new strategy.
And no matter what, we still may get to our win-loss prediction 5 months or 6 months ago of having about
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 wins at max.
This game, like this season, has been what we expected for the most part. It's just the teams they've won and lost to has been completely different than we expected.
They're playing
Like
down to
the
opponents.
team's good enough to show they're good enough to show up and beat whoever they want, like they can beat. But then they just play down to their opponents, or they're just kind of not on the same page at teams that they should throttle.
Yeah, I don't get it. And that's kind
This is a
of
very
the Packer
not
way,
even,
but
it's
LaFleur's
almost
teams have been
more.
known still to beat the teams that they should. They just make them close ball games.
It's almost more '09 feeling now than '08. Like I get it. '08's still like a very good comp, but in '09, like they got hot at the end, and then it was like no one wants to play the Packers. If they could like figure out the run game and like get some guys healthy, like not have 17 guys on your injury report, and they're calling guys that like you that are
Henry
just showing in apartment buildings to come out there for a
Henry
week.
Pearson
Like, it'd be good.
getting his first NFL game snaps on his birthday. Players like
Yeah.
that, or something blue that are getting the nod. There was a stat on social media talking about that the amount of like dead salary cap that we had going against us in this game for players that weren't active in this one, with Dre and Ja and Bach and Aaron Jones and all these other players. They're like, the Packers only had like 55 million in salary cap playing on this Thursday morning.
Yeah, it's 55% of their cap was able to play.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, let's get some guys healthy. Let's see what we can do. Love seems like he's dialed in. LaFleur is just like having fun out there, drawing plays in the sand and calling up like bizarro Madden plays you would see. Like, he's having fun. This team's having fun, and maybe that's what they needed. Maybe the coaching staff finally clicked the right button where it's like, let's not put so much pressure on these guys. Let them just go out, have some fun, ball out, and kind of be loose with it.
I love it. It makes it so much more enjoyable coming back home to Titletown Flats across the street when we got two straight wins. And you can feel it around Green Bay, too. And you go to the grocery store, you're talking with other people. This town rides and dies with the Packers. And when things aren't going well, spirits start to drop. And it definitely rubs off on myself and others around here, too.
But hey, man, great week. We still got another 7 days to enjoy this, and then I'm gonna pick them again to lose next week, and we're gonna come out with a win
Because
and hopefully
we got to stick to our guns from the May sort of schedule release prediction. This was one that we probably predicted like a 50-20 loss, and it still could very well could very still happen. And
Chiefs are going on a downward trajectory though, and the Packers are on the rise. So this could be an interesting one. My only hope is that Jordan Love gets Patrick Mahomes tickets to give to Taylor Swift, and they stick her up way up in Lambeau like they did to Jordan Love's mom.
ooh, that'd be the right way to do it. Don't let her sit in a press box. Put her out there in the 7:30s section there at
There you
Lambeau.
go.
I don't like it because I still haven't bought my ticket, and that ticket's going to be about a $200 whopper for just about the same seats that I've had here these past 3 home games.
I mean, there is something to be said though about watching Mahomes and watching Herbert in the same year. I think you got the right thinking there.
I did. Just like an NBA game. Hey, I'm here to see LeBron. I'm here to see Kobe. I'm here to see Allen Iverson, some of those players, even if it might not be my home squad.
Yeah, I just hope he has a really bad stat line.
That is a good point. Hey, rising, yeah, stock rising with Packers. Chiefs kind of sinking in a
Yeah.
way.
But all right, man, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your weekend here. We'll get to talking Packers sometime in the middle of the week here. Watch some football, relax, not have to worry about our team winning or losing
So it'll
today.
be nice. Bengal Steelers. A nice afternoon game of not too long ago. Kenny Pickett and Jordan Love being in the same breath, and Jordan Love looking to pull away.
But all right, man, you take it easy. Everyone else at Packer Nation, you do the same. We'll be back later in the week.
We'll do. Cheers, Dave.